Hey guys, it's Luke from Mix and Made Simple, and today I just want to make a quick video on what I think you should do if you're feeling like you're stuck on a project. Whether that's at the beginning of a project, like you don't even know where to begin, or the middle of a project, really the quick answer is that you just need to start throwing things out there and just do anything as long as there's forward motion. And I'm going to make an analogy would be like if you're writing, or a lot of writers will do this. If you start to write something, and this is really good when it comes to song lyrics too. If you're writing a song, you don't want to, in my opinion, sit there and only write down something that you think sounds amazing right away. You want to write down everything you possibly can, and if it's stupid, if it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't matter. Just write it all out, and then you can refine it later. And as you're writing, as you're just throwing stuff out there, there's going to be little bits and pieces, or possibly some really great ideas that go out and land. And so when you're making a project, if it's the beginning of a project and you don't even know where to start, well, bring up your favorite synth and start going around different presets and just play on the keyboard, or bring up the piano roll and just start putting in notes. And then even if it's random, just put stuff in, throw in an arpeggiator. I'm not a fan of MIDI chord packs at all. But as a last resort, I think if you have a MIDI chord pack, grab a synth, throw it on there, and get a chord progression, and then think of a melody to that chord progression. Or I am a big fan of Splice. Go to Splice and grab some random chord loop off of Splice, throw it in there, get inspired that way, and then and that's just a really great way to start things. Or grab, some melodic loop off of Splice and throw that in, and go from there. There's really a lot you can do, especially nowadays, to really get things in motion. And the same applies to, if you're in the middle of a track. And one thing that you can do, what you should do is get comfortable, get good at like mentally hearing your music, like in your mind. And so if you're at the beginning of a track, just sit there and just start to imagine the music that you want to hear, and you'll have some cool ideas that'll just come into your mind that way. And you can do the same thing if you're in the middle of a track and you get to, like, for example, I'm working on this track here, and I have the second drop section, and I got kind of stuck. And so what I'll do is I'll just sit there and think about the track, like play it in my head and get to that point, and then just, think of cool ideas in my mind. And then the same goes for, I'm getting over a cold, by the way, so my voice sounds weird. That's why. But the same applies to if you're starting out, you can do the same thing to the beginning. So, or like the same thing to the middle of the track. So, there's a section that I'm working on, I don't know what to do. What happens to me personally is I'll find myself, if I get stuck, a habit I'm trying to break is like, oh, I'm stuck. And so I might play the parts that I have that sound good, and I don't want to, maybe you can relate, you don't want to like ruin what you already have. And so, you save it and you play it, and then you're like, oh, I'll come back later. Well, really what you should do is save another version of your track. I like to save multiple versions of the track I'm working on. That way I can always go back in time. So you can see up here, this is called Already Home, the number 6. So if I totally mess this one up, I can always go back to number 5 and start over again. And so the same thing applies to if you're starting. I'm just going to throw stuff out there and just like get in the habit of, if I'm feeling stuck, just really go for it, instead of just sitting there thinking, okay, this has to be perfect, like what am I going to do next, then quitting and leaving. And this is where deadlines can be really useful as well. If you have a legitimate deadline, like, pretend you're already a huge successful artist and you have a deadline to get this track to a really big label. Well, you're going to get it done. And, so you're going to figure out a way to get it done. So setting deadlines and coming up with actual stakes for not hitting those deadlines can be really helpful as well. So So really, yeah, if you have writer's block, I mean, you got to just kind of don't take writer's block seriously. Don't wait for inspiration. Treat this like it's a job and like you have to get something done, and set a deadline for yourself, and use those tricks that I said at the beginning to really just, like I said, like, pretend like you're a writer and you're working on something. Don't just sit there and, you know, wait, try to make sure the next thing you add is perfect. Just put everything out there. Just throw everything out there, and then go back and edit it later and just get everything out of your mind. And then and if you're still not having any success, take a break, go on a walk, go get inspired some with your favorite, listen to some of your favorite artists, do whatever, and then come back and then try again. Um, so yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, and I think that should help quite a bit, because I know personally, I tend to get stuck, and I'm think like I make something and it sounds really good, and then I kind of just tend to like re-listen to it and think, oh, that sounds really great, and then not move on. But really, in order to finish a track, you just have to keep plowing forward and keep really going for it. So I hope that helps. In the description, I have a link. Go to the link and you can download my free ebook. I talk a little bit about this and other things that you should avoid, or other things you should know, especially as a new music producer, that will save you lots of time and money. So go ahead and get the link below, grab that, and see you next time. All right, bye.